What's up everyone, Toy Bro back again for another Star Wars Black Series review, and today we're taking a look at the Toys R Us Comic-Con shared exclusive Clone Commander GREE from Hasbro. So this is the figure that was a first release at Comic-Con and is a shared exclusive with Toys R Us, so it's kind of theirs going forward, and they made it available online during Comic-Con, and it'll come back at some point, and then it'll be in stores at some point as well. I'm not sure when, but I was able to snag one online, so let's take a look. We've got our kind of standard ongoing packaging at this point. We got GREE in the middle there. He doesn't have a number because he's an exclusive, and we got to write up a little bit of artwork on the back. So let's pull him out and take a look. Alright, so here is GREE out of the packaging, and I have been looking forward to this guy ever since we heard he was coming out, ever since I saw a little more about him, heard a little more about him at Celebration, and he... You know, I've got a soft spot for Phase 2 clones, for commanders in general, so, you know, this is kind of my bread and butter right here in terms of what I want in a trooper, and he brings it. So let's take a closer look. I've got him with the assault rifle in his hand already. This is kind of the gun I prefer them to use, just when they have access to it, because we've only gotten, you know, a handful of Phase 2 clones. We don't have... There's never been a standard release, so he's an exclusive. We got the Entertainment Earth 4-pack, and then there was the other 4-pack that has a regular Phase 2 clone trooper in it. So there hasn't been a wide release of this kind of clone still. We've got the others. We've got Cody, and we've got commanders and lieutenants and captains and regular Phase 1 clones. But Phase 2s have been relegated to exclusives only. And GREE here is a more expensive figure as well, and they explained why at Celebration, because he has... At least so far, he has the highest number of paint apps out of any figure in the line. And you can tell why. I mean, he's got tons of paint layered all over this figure. And it works pretty well. So I'm overall very pleased with my initial impressions of him. So let's take a closer look. I'm going to pop this out for now, set it aside, and just so we can do articulation, although it's not anything you're not already familiar with. So the head can move up and down a little bit, just based on the sculpt. It's only going to go so far. Left and right action can go up and all around. The shoulder pads are going to get in the way of any kind of movement outwards, though. It only goes so far before those pads start to hit. There is a bicep swivel. We got those legendary double-jointed trooper elbows, and we have a hinge and a rotation at the wrist. Now, this wrist has a vertical hinge, so it goes up and down. This hinge is side to side, so they are different, you know, just for different uses, different things. He does have a cut at the torso, so it's because it's not at the waist, it's like the mid torso. Is that a phrase, mid torso? So he can go side to side, rotate, and then he's got a little bit of a crunch. Legs only go out so far, and that's really due to the sculpt on these legs and due to the joint and how it's seated in there. But the armor is going to hit at the plates, and they're also going to hit when you go forward because of the kind of point here, and then they go back just a little bit. There is rotation at the thigh. It's a cut underneath that armor. If I can put it back, we've got double jointed knees, and then there is a hinge and a forward facing pin for rocker action in that ankle. So he's got it where it counts. It's standard trooper articulation, though, as far as a Black Series figure goes. Now, when it comes to sculpt, my initial thought was that this was just going to be a Phase 2 trooper kind of redone and rehashed, but he's actually not. Obviously, he's very similar, but there are differences between this figure and, say, the clones that came in the Entertainment Earth pack. So here's one, just because I've got them handy. You know, I got to take some pics at some point. But you can see there are differences in the armor. So GREE has whatever this is supposed to be, and then on the back he has another canister on his back. The back piece is different. He has got straps sculpted into his armor, and then the helmet is a little different, but not much, only slightly so. Obviously paint apps are very different, but in terms of the overall armor plating, it's very, very similar. Mostly the same. He's just got a little bit extra to differentiate him from kind of a standard issue clone trooper, which I can appreciate that. I like the little differences that kind of bring him out and make him more worthwhile as an exclusive. and, make him more unique as a commander and as a specific individual clone. Quick little side note just before we continue. I know I mentioned that he does have some differences to the other Phase 2 clones, one of which is this antenna. And if you noticed in some other shots in this review, it's missing. So this is a separate piece, and it pops in and out. Obviously, I don't think it could have been a one-piece sculpt just due to the molding. So it pops out. But it apparently flung out of the package when I pulled him out earlier. So it's missing in a lot of the shots. So just be aware, buyer beware. When you pull him out of the package, be sure that this thing doesn't go flying across the room. I almost didn't find it and kind of lucked out. So just a little quick note that this thing may get lost if you are not careful. Obviously, where it really comes into play here is in the paint apps. So this guy's just loaded with them. And like I said, he is so far, and probably will be for quite a while, if not always, just because of the nature of the paint job. He is the most heavily painted figure in the line, according to Hasbro. I don't remember the exact paint app count, but it was quite a bit. It was over 100, if I remember correctly. But as you can see, there's just paint everywhere. We've got different tones of green in the mask. We've got whites, we've got silvers, we've got a little bit of black in there and some kind of gunmetal colors. He has got kind of wear and tear all over the armor plates on the shoulders, on the biceps, on the chest. And then, of course, when you get down into the actual armor itself, I mean, he's camouflaged, so you've got browns and greens and grays, blacks, the whole 9 yards when it comes to where he has paint and what color it is. And I mean, pretty much every aspect of this figure has paint, except for the shins and the feet. The rest of him is covered. The back has some dry brushing on there. We've got the camo action going on the thighs, on the butt, on the crotch, on the belt, on the forearms, on the chest, and then he's got a lot of weathering on the biceps and the shoulders again. So I think in that regard, he really looks the part. He looks like what I remember from, Revenge of the Sith or from the Clone Wars show, because he's not in a great deal. We don't have a lot of actual, images of GREE in terms of TV or movies. He's only in a very small portion overall, but I think, he leaves a bit of an impression when he gets his head chopped off by Yoda. All right, now as far as accessories goes, he has 3 pieces. We've got the standard kind of assault rifle in his hand right now, and this is not a new piece. This is something we've seen before. We've got other examples in different packs with Phase 2 clones. I think some of the Phase 1 clones include this as well. And it's cast in just a gunmetal style plastic, nothing too crazy there. We have got the standard kind of blaster rifle, which we've seen this all over. A lot of the clones come with this guy. And then his unique piece is his binoculars, and you see him use this in Revenge of the Sith. It's just cast in a kind of tan plastic, and it's got some green paint, and it's got the black visor on it. He can hold this in either hand, but it would be more suited for his left hand because his right hand has a trigger finger. I'll probably never use this in all honesty, but it's cool to have something a little more unique to this character. All right, so overall, this is every bit the figure that I expected it to be. He is, once again, a good example of how well Hasbro does troopers in this line. So that's always a plus. He's got a ton of paint apps, and they're pretty well done. He comes with a handful of accessories. He's got a great sculpt. He's got an awesome look about him. Very unique. He's going to stand out on your shelf. So I'm overall very pleased with him, and I can't really ask for too much more in regards to this figure. So that is going to do it for this review of the Black Series Clone Commander GREE figure from Hasbro. Let me know what you guys think about this guy down in the comments. Feel free to like and share and do that whole thing for me. And until next time.